What's up?
Oh, same old, same old.
All right, let's get this podcast started tonight. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Paranormal Universe with your homegirl Denise and a special guest, my homie Jeremy. Now, like I already told you all, tonight's episode we're going to be talking about famous location on, I guess, in the South, right? I'm
Yeah,
assuming in
pretty
the
much.
South, because apparently there's West Virginia and then there's Virginia. And
Yeah.
there's the north and the south. So yeah, don't ask me about the logistics. He knows the logistics. I'm not from the south, which is just east to me, but he's from the south, is what he says. So go figure. So we're going to be talking about his personal experiences at this famous battlefield. Now I'm gonna let him do the talking because y'all know how I am. I'm gonna be asking like a gazillion questions and see what he enlightens us. So, take it away, homie.
So, my experience is talking about one of the bloodiest battles in the Civil War, which was Gettysburg. My personal little experiences in Gettysburg is actually staying on the battlefields as a Civil War reenactor, of course, for the South with the guys that I shoot with 3 times a year. It's the Hardaways, Alabama Artillery. Y'all can look that up. It's a good little group. But so we stayed at Gettysburg on the
So, like
battlefield.
you actually like camp out.
Yes. When we do our reenactments, which we haven't done one in a while, but when we did our reenactments, we stayed in tents, Civil War period tents at the time. But when we go do our 3 times a year shoots, we actually have huts that we have built at Fort Shenandoah in Winchester. And we go full 9 yards. The wool uniform, wool pants, the boots with the horseshoes on the bottom of them. I mean, when I say we go full 9 yards, it's a weekend of nothing but sweating and shooting service rounds, which are blank uh, blank rounds. No bullet in them, just straight gunpowder. But
Yeah, no.
my one my one well, actually, my experience up at Gettysburg consisted of first night there, it was all the guys sitting around the campfire that we had going, and off in the distance, you heard what sounded like gunfire going off. And of course, we had other people that were staying there across the field from us, but they were within shouting distance. And when I mean shouting distance, I mean maybe 300 yards from us. It sounded like it was on the other side of the area where they said the battle had happened at. And my dad looked over at me and goes, "You hear that?" And I was like, "Of course, it sounds like it's gunfire." And we looked off in the distance and you saw flashes. Now, off in the distance where I'm talking about, they actually have artillery pieces set up on the hill, which was the north, the where the north was. So as we're looking over there, we're noticing the flashes going off. And my dad looked over at me and he said, "You know what that is?" And I said, "Yeah, that's based around where the cannons were." So, long story short, we actually, the first night we were there was the cannon fire going off, and you could clearly hear it. And then you heard, you actually smelt the gunpowder, which is very odd on,
Unique.
um, well, very unique for that little area. And as we were camping out, throughout the night, that's what you would hear. And then at one point in time, you would hear um, fife and drums, which is um, Civil War period drums, and you would hear what sounds like almost like a flute playing throughout the night, and you would hear marching, which was actually very, very cool to hear that night, which was amazing. The second night we were there, it got a little more interesting. We camped in the same area, but this time it was, you smelt the gunpowder, and then you've got the odor of blood, and you got the odor of burnt burnt skin. So that was very interesting. Even one night, or that night, when I got up to go use the bathroom, I even got to a little section. I was like, okay, this is fine. And as I looked up, there was a silhouette of a Confederate soldier, and he walked towards me, and then it was like he vanished. Um,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you actually seen
yes,
like
that
this?
where we were at. Um, I can't remember the number of how many soldiers ended up dying where we were staying at. Um, but we had many cases where, well, I did that night. Many cases where you could smell the odor of the gunpowder, odor of, iron, and of course, seeing these spirits that were still hanging around the battlefield. And when I mean hanging around the battlefield, it was, you saw ones that were still acting like they were walking the field. I saw a couple that were running. The worst, the worst one that I saw that um, actually will forever be in my memory is walking towards the parking area, looked over, and probably about 30 feet from me, looked over on the ground, and there was a figure of a soldier. Couldn't tell if it was Union, Confederate, um, but actually where a a cannonball had came through and pretty much hit them from the waist down. And all you saw was exactly that, the waist up. And you heard the screaming, you heard the battle chants that were being yelled as they were charging into battle. So it was very breathtaking, almost surreal, because it was like, holy crap, I'm in the middle of this, and we reenacted exactly what happened. So you name it, that's exactly what ended up happening. We were reenacting that whole entire battle, and each night things got a little more intense, because it was like, as we were sitting there camping out, they got closer and closer to where we were camping out at. At one point, I remember waking up and I had a Union soldier standing over me with, you can clearly see it, with his musket drawn, bayonet on the end of it, acting like he was going in for a stab, as if they were going through and kind of doing like a sweep of the area. That was definitely a surreal moment, because that brings into reality that, holy cow, that actually happened here. And they didn't, when they were there, they weren't there to, they weren't fighting over, something that they didn't believe in. North believed in no slavery, and that's pretty much what the whole entire war was about. And there was moments throughout the night that I saw Union soldiers that were black, not Confederate, but black Union soldiers that were walking the battlefield, and they were going through and doing exactly that. And it's crazy. It was so surreal and so breathtaking to see that. And the final night that we were there, that's when things got really interesting. I woke up. What was it? I probably woke up around 2:00 in the morning and felt to me, I can say, a warm sensation on my leg. Well, when I woke up and I looked down, it looked like I had blood on my leg. Now, keep in mind, that, to me at the time, I was like, no, there's no way that's possible. Took the flashlight I had and put it on there, and it looked like I was legitly bleeding. And that is the most surreal and scary, let me put it that way, scary thing to even think and to even see. that went on for, probably a couple hours into the morning, and it seemed like they turned around and they didn't want us there. And of course, it was one of those things where they told us y'all can stay here, but you might not be welcomed. And of course, our guys, a lot of guys that we shoot with or that I shoot with are older, so they were just like, "Oh yeah, we don't believe it," you know. So for me, seeing that firsthand, and for me actually being part of that, I can definitely say that would I do it again? Oh yeah, in a heartbeat, because it was indeed great to see, great great to witness, and be part of pretty much history. It was indeed something that I will never forget because it was, like I said, it's something you have to be there to feel the presence and to feel the heaviness that you would feel at night. Like during the day, it was just like normal. You didn't feel any type of almost like heaviness that was coming over the battlefield. You had people watching, throughout the day, but when it came down to at night, it was a whole different ball game. And I woke up the last morning, and I wish I would have taken pictures of it. I actually had um hand a handprint on me on my right shoulder, and then around where we were camping at, all these musket balls that we didn't see during the day. All these musket balls were laying around us, and they had looked like they had been there over time, like somebody just didn't place them out there while we were sleeping. And to see that, and to actually see, you know, the indentions on the musket ball where you can see it, obviously it hit something. That was just crazy to see that. And then, I have a couple of them that we ended up taking with us. Probably not a good idea, but we took a couple of them, and we actually had someone take a look at them to see if they were, if somebody had placed them there or if they were authentic, and they came back as being authentic, and they were indeed there, when the battle actually happened. So it was very, like I said, very overwhelming because first night, it really wasn't anything going on. You heard the cannon fire off in the distance, you saw the flashes. Well, then second night got a little more intense. You heard the musket fire closer. You heard the fife and drums playing. You heard the marching, you heard the chants and everything else. And then Sunday night, it was like, boom, they're here. And they fully made their presence known that they were there. And it was just like, holy shit, this actually this is actually happening. This is actually where it was at. And it's so amazing to see that and to be part of that. And any history buff that has seen that or that has been um, even been near it, they want to go back and they want to be part of that again. But unfortunately, with everything going on and due to a lot of protests that has gone on, they have actually canceled Gettysburg for I think the past 2 years. And unfortunately, that is a shame. I mean, you can go there during the day and see the Gettysburg Hotel, which is extremely haunted, and they have a lot of activity that goes on there. But it's definitely just a very overwhelming and and it's a very positive experience. Yes, was there at times that I was like, I don't know about this. And, yes, there was times that I was like, ooh, I don't think so. I don't think it's something I'd go back and do. But over time of being there and seeing that, oh yeah, I go back in a heartbeat. If the opportunity was there, just to be able to, definitely go back and reenact it and be part of, like I said, be part of history and be there. You there?
So, with this coronavirus epidemic that we have going on, you have many celebrities, you have actors coming in and joining the podcast community, and you want to jump into it. Well, if you haven't heard, there's a program that you can use called Anchor, now, which is the easiest way to create a podcast. It's free. Um, there's a whole bunch of creation tools that allow you to record, edit your podcast from your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your computer. Um, it'll even distribute them for you. So it'll be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast platforms. You can make money with your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like I said, we have a lot of celebrities, we have a lot of actors, actresses joining the podcast community. So they'll be making money because of their followers. Well, you can do it too. You could have 2 followers and still be making money. So it's an easy way to join the podcast community because this program lets you um, make money with no minimum listenership, and it has everything you need from a podcast program all rolled into one. So if you want to join the community, don't forget to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started. Join us independent podcasters along with the celebrities and the actors and the actresses who are on the podcast community. So don't forget, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So, there was some technical difficulties with the episode, but I was talking to Jeremy after, and he did say that Gettysburg College, which is north of the battlefield, is extremely haunted. There is a house located on the battlefield that is also extremely haunted. He also stated that there are other areas like Gettysburg Inn is haunted, but you cannot stay after dark unless you're on an official ghost tour, because it's run by the park services. So, you know, you're allowed to visit the park at, you know, anytime during the day, but at night the only way you're going to be able to get access to the park is via ghost tour. Don't worry, folks, there's going to be a part 2. We're going to discuss more of Gettysburg in detail. He is going to do a little more research on some of the locations so we could have another episode of Gettysburg. So don't trip, chocolate chips. I got you all covered. And you all will be able to listen to his side. So don't forget to listen to our episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can hit us on Insta or Twitter at paranormalbuzzfeed. You can hit us on an email at paranormalbuzzfeed@gmail.com. You can make sure you listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Public Radio, Google Podcast, Podcasts. There's one more. Breaker. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. If you'd like to be a sponsor and sponsor the channel, you're more than welcome to. But all donations that come in go right back to the channel to get better equipment, better mics, better this. So kind of get me looking professional, because right now I'm recording all my podcasts off of my iPhone. But like I said, donations come in. It helps with better equipment, better sound, and makes the whole podcast sound more professional. So don't forget to listen, subscribe, and share the podcast. I'm drawing a blank now. Oh, and don't forget to keep it ghosting. Talk to you all later in our next episode. Bye!